Magik is here in Marvel Future Revolution. Let me give you a quick take on how she's performing so far, as well as what other top players are looking at with her, and to just try to give you a quick start guide with Magik. Let's get into it. Alright guys, we're here with Magik. There's been a lot of things with this update. I'm going to have general update video later on, and I'll be sure to let everyone know what's going on with the new offers, the step-up offer, the new training ground situation. I'm just trying to get a lot more information for you all. But I spoke with a lot of the bigger players in the game and came up with this for Magik. So if we take a look at her abilities, there's a couple questions that we all have, but there's also a couple that we know are going to be good. So Triple Hydra Impact right here is going to be good no matter the game mode. It's guard break low, which is, we'll get into why that isn't the best, but it does do the most damage that you have. It's a Legion of Demons thing, which will come into play later, as well as it's 3 shots that track. Tracking means if they dodge or move out of the way, the next, because it does 1, 2, 3, if you do the first one and they jump out of the way, the second and the third one will go to where they are at the time they go through. Next, I'm really enjoying this Master of Abyss skill. I'm doing a little bit of testing right now to see if when she disappears, if that's considered an iframe or not. It takes a lot of testing to get that answer. I will give it to you guys as soon as I'm able. But you disappear. It's a gap closer. You close the gap. It does a good amount of damage and applies the damage over time. Now, how her damage over time works is she does initial damage. You'll see the 416, and then you can see from the little text, she does, each ability has a different number, and it also scales as you level. So right now, mine is doing 10.15% of my attack per second for 5 seconds. So 50% of my attack extra on top of the 416. Something to keep in mind with all of her abilities, Captain America got a buff recently where he now has 3 highest damage, highest guard break abilities. Magik on her own has 3 highest guard break abilities, and during her ultimate, which we will get to, it also has a highest guard break ability. I really enjoy Hunter in the Dark right here. You use it, you pull them towards you, and they cannot use dodge skills, meaning they can't use the actual tumble, the actual button in the bottom right-hand corner. In PvE, the 4th version, Dark Conjuration, turning them into frogs or sheep or whatever, pretty awesome. Be careful though. Most bosses this will not work against. It's mostly good against the mobs. I really like Summon Legionnaire, the commander. This is kind of a sleeper. I had to tell this to a couple people, but if you look at it, he takes 15% of the damage you would have taken, and is also slapping people for 30% of your damage. He lasts for 15 seconds with a 40-second cooldown, but with a good cooldown reduction, he will be up at about half the time. There's some other abilities that are being tested on. This I'll show you highest guard break. I'm using this right now, but I'm not going towards it. Right here. This is also a teleport style ability. This I'm pretty sure by talking to a couple people who have tested it a little bit, it does seem to be an iframe when she disappears and then reappears, and then it does a good AoE and knocks everybody down. Now, what's her auto attack is different. It does roughly the same damage as your basic attackers, your melee attackers, but she also, if she's at range, much like Widow, instead of shooting, she does magic bullets. What's interesting about her basic attack is, as you see, it says deals greater damage when transformed in Darkchild. Well, let's take a look at Darkchild. That's her ultimate. It's similar to Widow. Instead of 3 uses, it has 2, It's not a use, it's a charge. And there's something I actually figured out with this I'll get to in just a second. But if we look, you become invincible for 3 seconds. That's the transformation time, similar to Captain Marvel. Knocks down enemies, similar to Marvel. And mobility immunity, that's worded kind of weird. That sounds like only snares and things like that. But this is very exactly like Captain Marvel. You don't get affected by webs. Nothing. Recover 33.43% of HP. This scales up as it levels up. I believe if you're using New Stark, it'll be roughly 50% of your HP when you transform, so you can save it as a heal. This will be affected by HP recovery, so that stat actually matters. So when you have it at 50 and then you have a 50%, it'll be 75% because it's multiplicative, not additive. It also decreases long-range damage. This is amazing in Omega War because everyone's just throwing down damage from afar. You have Iron Man's 16-shot barrage. You're taking % less damage from that. But when you're transformed, you have your 3 abilities. They have pretty long cooldowns. Let me stop right there. You'll also see on the bottom right there, it says, the gauge will charge as the battle continues or when using dark magic skills. So you want to have dark magic skills on your skill bar. Most of the abilities I went over are dark magic and limbo ruler. I know in the game it's called something else. Right here it's called Legion of Demons. In the game, some things also call it Ruler of Limbo. You'll see the specializations. But when you use the dark magic, you get more skill gauge, which you're going to want that to get the heal, immunity, things like that. What's interesting is when you get the halfway point, you can activate it. And when you're at full, you can activate it as well. The only difference between a half activation and a full activation is the length of time you are in Darkchild. I recommend, this could be proven wrong later on, but currently I recommend doing a half activation to get that heal, because if you keep doing half activations, then you get that heal every time. So in your PvP game modes, I would recommend use Darkchild whenever it is up. She's got the 3 abilities. Mostly they just do damage. This one lowers their movement speed and increases damage dealt to the target. This is amazing. Takes a little bit more testing, but I believe if you level the ultimate, which would be New Stark City, which is one that I'm currently looking at, it increases the damage your enemy takes when you hit them with this ability. The last one knocks him in the air, which is great. You can use it as a combo move. But let's get into the potential. She's kind of all over the place. She gives stamina recovery, accuracy, ultimate gauge. The only interesting thing here is the total damage. She's the only one, to my knowledge, with total damage. Next, let's jump into specialization. There's mainly 2 that I think are must-haves. And that's right here. Ultimate gauge by 50%. For 5 seconds when you use dark magic. Remember, we already want to be using dark magic skills. It's over 5 seconds with an 8-second cooldown, so you're almost always gaining ultimate gauge. And as we remember, the ultimate says when you use dark magic skills, you get ultimate recovery. So if you have a good amount of ultimate recovery, you can be running into ultimate. The other one right here is when you ultimate, which is what we're trying to do, you get 25% bonus attack and HP, which is ridiculous. The ones that I am working towards right now are this one right here, increase all skill cooldowns by 10%. This one is 1.02, so it may scale harder to more than 10%, but if it scales the same as everything else, it'll be 10%. The other one that I'm looking for is I'm looking to be a brawler. I'm looking to get in there and mix stuff up. Right here, 25% of your HP for 5 seconds when you use a limbo ruler. Remember, that's the summon skills with a cooldown of 20 seconds. So when you use it, it lasts for 5 seconds with a 20-second cooldown. meaning a quarter of the time you have 25% of your HP. The rest of the time you can use your ultimate to heal up, you can use your dodges, you can really play with things. If you are having stamina recovery issues, she has stamina and ultimate gauge stuff. Whenever you dodge, use the active dodge, you get 25% for 6 seconds, which is actually really great. There's no cooldown on it. I looked at this one. If increasing their stats by, I'm assuming it scales up to 30%, their damage is based off your damage. So if you just raise your damage, that's better than anything else. There are a couple trap abilities. I believe this one right here, the 3% of HP into attack, it's not HP into damage like the other characters. This is HP into attack, which is helpful for damage equals healing, but I believe you can use the specialization spot in other places. The other one people are looking at is this life. It says absorb, it's lifesteal, 3% of damage you deal with your soul sword abilities. I'm sorry to say, most of the soul sword abilities aren't that great. There's one that I might be using, and getting 3% of that one skill back isn't worth a slot to me. Now, onto the Omega cards. These aren't ones specifically for Magik. They're just ones I'm using for the stats right now while leveling. What you want to be looking for is she's your tanky character. Now you have a good thing for using those HP stats. So if you look at set 6, if we take a look at set 6, Magardia, which people were only doing the 2-piece set because the other 2 were HP. This can defense and HP, so this can really help you buff your tanky stats while also giving you damage with crit damage, attack, crit damage, and crit rate. So you can be that brawler. You're in there, you're mixing it up with the enemy, and you're also dealing damage. That is the gameplay I enjoy the most, and I was leaning towards Marvel for a little bit, but Magik seems to have the biggest thing to... Well, the second biggest thing for Captain Marvel is her ultimate. She changes to a completely different character. Same thing with Magik. But Magik is all about the transformation, not so much being in the ultimate, but that also matters. And then, I'm sorry to say, Captain America players, but if you're trying to be a tank, it looks like Magik might be the way. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think I missed anything too important. But I think this will give you a good head start with Magik. Also, she's a ground character, so before I get that question, hey Kigerr, how can I deal with flyers? If you do a running jump, you can then jump while in the air. Till next time, guys.